disclosure, this talk was not generated by AI. So what is generative AI? Well, it's kind of the umbrella term of any AI that can generate a new context or data, text, images, music, or video. And for this talk, we'll focus on large language models, or LLMs, which is the technology that produces text. And examples of these tools is ChatGPT, PaperPal, Grammarly, or Google Gemini. And so let's start on a positive note with the good. So we recently were asked to comment as a non-native speaker, so me and a couple of colleagues from all continents in the world. What do you think about the potential use of these tools to reduce linguistical barriers? And really, in our review, we just shared our personal experience, but it really confirmed what 1,600 other researchers also thought when Nature Reviews interviewed or surveyed researchers, and really it helps those people like us, whose language is not English as the first language, to improve the grammar and the style of our research work, and also to summarize or translate other people's work. And that's mainly how I use it on a day-to-day basis as an academic researcher. You know, I use it to translate from Swedish to English. It helps improve my grammar, my spelling, and my style. I can take a portion of text and I put it in one of these tools and I say, can you say this better? Can you say this more academically? You know, it will really improve what I have in my head and put it on paper and make it very eloquent. It can also help communicate your ideas in a more succinct way and make it more effective. It's very good at summarizing and structuring my text, making bullet points, making it more succinct. I can use it to write a good conclusion of my grants or papers. I could also do the opposite. If I don't have time, I'll take an entire PDF of a paper and I plop it into ChatGPT and I ask it to summarize it for me, and I'll get, you know, the gist of the paper without having to read through the whole paper. So in my view, you know, it's a very helpful kind of a friend that I have next to me. I have dual screens in my office and I have ChatGPT or one of these other tools on one screen. And then it's kind of having a buddy that I can ask. It's similar to having a colleague, in my view, to ask to review or have an extra set of eyes on your grant. And for me, it saved me a lot of time. You know, I've written probably 100 grants in my life, and I can say this saves me enormous amount of work. And other people use this too. Here's another colleague who had written a grant, and he had written an abstract, and then he asked ChatGPT to write it up and asked it to kind of expand, so you can do the other way around. And it did a good job, and the English was good, better than my own, he says. And similar to my experience, it cut the workload from 3 days to 3 hours. So similar to the other talk we just heard, you know, about how fast AI can be in looking at images. It's the same with, it can produce text, just like, it just comes out of the computer in no time. So here's a good paper, if you want to read it after this, about how a roadmap and rules to use when you use these tools to get a grant. And really, you know, it's basically applying common sense. You know, don't plagiarize, don't copy paste. You know, always interact with humans anyway. But it's kind of a nice roadmap for like ethical and responsible use of AI when you write your grant. And so, after the positive, let's go to the not so positive and the bad. AI is not a human, obviously. It doesn't know anything. It doesn't care about the truth. And you are ultimately responsible for the mistakes the tool makes. It kind of feels like a human sometimes, but it really is not. It's just a master of synthesizing aggregated data. So I've seen a lot of mistakes kind of creep in there. So just be careful and mindful about that. And the European Research Council has issued a warning about this, that you really have to keep maintaining the academic integrity when you use these tools, and take responsibility as an author, and be very careful about plagiarism, and continue to practice good science. It's important to remember AI cannot be a co-author, even though it kind of feels like one, and probably better than human co-authors sometimes. And again, it can bring misinformation and inaccuracies. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but it sometimes hallucinates. It can hallucinate references. if I can say, find me 5 references about prostate cancer, it would be, Crawford et al., Carlsson et al., and then it just generates some random stuff. So, be very careful about this. And same with images, it really hallucinates. It can produce like LSD-like images, which is like, don't put these in your grants. It's just not trustworthy. So, there's both good and bad. As we talked about, structured text, very eloquent vocabulary, much better than my vocabulary. So it can be like a rapid search engine. You can ask it quick things and it can answer. But, the ethical concerns, there's copyright laws that might be infringed upon, medical legal complications, inaccurate results, biased, harmful results. And it really cannot distinguish between what's a trustworthy and not trustworthy source. If you ask it a simple question, tell me about prostate cancer, it can just pull from random things in the universe that we live in terms of what's out there. So it cannot really distill in the way that we can with our education and experience. And so the ugly is really all about ethics. Some of these chatbots have already produced privacy scandals where, you have data leak and things that are published that come out there. Many of these software platforms, outside of healthcare settings are not covered entities, and they're not subject to the HIPAA privacy rule. Data can easily be re-identified, and even if you enter de-identified data, it can cause significant harm. And what happens to the data, where it's stored, is what you put into the tool, used to train the tool to become better, what's on the back end of things. So never ever input any PHI or any unpublished data or data sets into these tools. And similarly, if you are a grant reviewer, it would be tempting maybe to put in the whole grant and just say, what's significant about this research, or tell me 3 limitations or whatever. But that's definitely a no-no. NIH has very strict rules about this, that it violates the review confidentiality and integrity. And so definitely don't do that. So that's, in conclusion, the good can improve your writing and summarize information and really saves time. But don't upload the grant applications, don't share any sensitive information, and think about these things as privacy and integrity, and really continue to conduct responsible conduct of research. Think about this fake contact, fake references, and plagiarism. So we still have to be there. So yes, AI is a useful tool, but we still need humans. Thank you.